But anyone who works with me
I love this.
it's like drinking through a fire hose. You're like, wow, I come in and I'm like, this is what we're going to do.
Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, two of Hollywood's biggest power players, might be watching their careers crash and burn. A massive $400 million lawsuit is looming over them in federal court, and today, the judge did not rule in their favor. Blake Lively's once golden career is unraveling at full speed, and it all started with her disastrous decision to promote It Ends With Us like it was some feel-good girls' night out movie. The film, based on Colleen Hoover's novel, is actually a dark, gut-wrenching story about Lily, a woman trapped in an abusive marriage with Ryle. Fans were furious at Lively's tone-deaf marketing, which made it seem like a fun, floral dress-worthy flick instead of the brutal reality check it really is. But instead of reading the room, she doubled down, plugging her hair care line, alcohol brand, and designer jeans in the middle of the backlash. Bad move. Now, things have escalated into two explosive lawsuits. On one side, Lively is suing director Justin Baldoni, accusing him and his production company, Wayfarer Studios, of creating a toxic and hostile set. She alleges that she was the target of serious misconduct and inappropriate behavior while filming. And if that wasn't messy enough, she claims Baldoni's team launched a full-blown smear campaign to destroy her reputation. The drama hit its peak when the New York Times published an article that painted Baldoni as the villain in this Hollywood war. And it cost him everything. He lost his agent at WME, got dropped from his podcast, and saw lucrative film deals vanish overnight. His entire career is now hanging by a thread, all because of Lively's allegations. And with lawsuits flying, it's anyone's guess who will come out on top.
Blake Lively is suing Justin Baldoni for a jaw-dropping $250 million, claiming he's behind a full-scale smear campaign to ruin her career. But Baldoni is firing back hard, insisting, absolutely not. He denies all accusations, no defamation, no misconduct, no smear tactics. Instead, he claims Lively is the one playing dirty, using these allegations as a power move to steal his movie rights right out from under him.
According to Baldoni, this isn't about justice, it's about control. He says Lively and Ryan Reynolds colluded to snatch the rights to It Starts With Us, the highly anticipated sequel to It Ends With Us. They allegedly wanted total creative control over the franchise and saw Baldoni as nothing more than an obstacle in their way.
And the courtroom drama? It's heating up fast. Today's legal battle was all about a gag order. Lively wants to shut down Baldoni's attorney, Brian Friedman, accusing him of publicly defaming her and dragging this case through the court of public opinion. But Friedman isn't backing down, not even a little. In a fiery legal filing, he argued that he had no choice but to respond publicly after Lively allegedly fed confidential legal documents to the New York Times. And that December article? It was a bombshell. The fallout for Baldoni was catastrophic. His agent at WME dropped him, his podcast was canceled, and his entire business empire took a major hit. His career was left in ruins. But here's where things get even messier. Public opinion is split. Lively supporters say, no woman should ever have to endure this in the workplace. But Baldoni's camp insists he's the real victim, blindsided by a scandal that's wrecking everything he built. And this legal war? It's just getting started. Over the weekend, things took a shocking turn, and it's all thanks to Brian Friedman, Justin Baldoni's powerhouse attorney. He launched a full-blown website packed with explosive evidence, timelines, text messages, emails, videos, and legal documents, all pointing to one thing. Blake Lively allegedly weaponized false allegations of misconduct to take over It Ends With Us. According to the evidence, every time Lively didn't get her way, she would escalate her accusations against Wayfarer Studios, Justin Baldoni, and co-producer Jamie Heath. And here's the kicker. She herself admitted that all alleged misconduct stopped after filming resumed in 2024. But now she's shifting blame again, claiming the intense backlash she faced during the film's promotional run. after making careless, tone-deaf remarks about domestic violence was somehow Justin's fault. The allegations against her are brutal. Friedman's timeline suggests that she played the long game, leveraging accusations to gain control of the movie and squeeze out Baldoni and his team. And the moment she faced criticism for her own marketing missteps, she allegedly turned the narrative back onto him. And let's be real, not everyone is buying her story. Many believe this isn't about justice, but about Lively's refusal to be told no. The word being thrown around? Narcissistic. Some say it's classic retaliation. When things don't go her way, she doubles down.
And today, in federal court, it did not go her way.
The pre-trial conference was all about Lively's team pushing for a gag order, claiming Friedman is orchestrating a public smear campaign by leaking documents, videos, and damning receipts. But based on how things played out today, Lively might not be getting what she wants this time. And if this case keeps unraveling the way it has been, her career could take a hit she never saw coming. Blake Lively's team desperately wanted a gag order, but in federal court, those are nearly impossible to get. The press has a right to access public records, and judges rarely grant these kinds of requests. And today, the gag order was denied. But that didn't stop both sides from going head-to-head, passionately arguing why this legal war needed to be silenced. But let's be real, the damage to Justin Baldoni is on a whole other level. While Lively may be facing some public backlash, her Hollywood status still gives her a safety net. Will she struggle to book new roles? Maybe. But compared to what Baldoni has lost, it's not even close. His career, his projects, his entire reputation, all hanging by a thread because of this lawsuit. And in court today, it was brutal. Federal judges do not mess around, and both sides laid out how badly they've been impacted. Brian Friedman, Baldoni's attorney, came in swinging, stating his clients have lost hundreds of millions because of what Lively allegedly did. He accused her of colluding with the New York Times to push out a one-sided, fabricated story that destroyed Baldoni's career overnight. And the evidence? It's piling up fast. Court filings include damning receipts that contradict nearly everything Lively has claimed. And then there's the video proof, her own interviews where she slips up again and again, practically exposing herself. And here's where it gets even wilder. Lively has actually admitted on podcasts that she took over the editing, writing, wardrobe, and marketing of It Ends With Us, even though it was Baldoni's film. She came in at the last second and claimed it as her own, while Baldoni and Wayfarer Studios were left in the dust. At this point, it's going to be nearly impossible for her to prove she didn't do exactly what she's being accused of. And with the courtroom battles just getting started, things are about to get even uglier. Judge Louis Lyman made one thing crystal clear in court today. There will be no gag order. Blake Lively's legal team pushed hard to silence Baldoni's attorney, but the judge flat out refused. The only thing he did? Remind Brian Friedman that he needs to follow federal civil conduct rules for attorneys. But restrictions? Not happening. And here's where it gets even more interesting. The trial date might be moved up. If this legal war keeps escalating, the judge has no problem fast-tracking the trial from March 2026 to an earlier date, which means Lively and Baldoni could be battling it out in court sooner than expected. But that wasn't the only fight today. Lively is now trying to avoid being deposed by Friedman. Through her attorney, Michael Gottlieb, she argued that she doesn't feel comfortable being questioned by a lawyer who she claims has defamed her character. Let's break that down. Lively, who's built a reputation as a fearless powerhouse in Hollywood, suddenly doesn't want to face the opposing attorney in a legal deposition? That's not how it works. You don't get to choose who deposes you in federal court. You can ask for accommodations, sure, but demanding the court ban an attorney from questioning you? That's almost laughable. And the judge? He wasn't having it. Lively's legal team was quickly reminded that she doesn't get to call the shots here. If she wants to fight this case, she's going to have to face the hard questions, whether she likes it or not. At this point, Lively's legal strategy is looking shakier by the day. And if this keeps up, she might be facing the courtroom battle a lot sooner than she expected. Blake Lively just took another major loss in court. Not only was the gag order denied, but Brian Friedman absolutely still gets to depose her. No exceptions. Lively may be playing offense as a plaintiff, but she's also a co-defendant in the cross-complaint, and Justin Baldoni's team calls the shots on who questions her. Bottom line, this was not a good day for Blake. What's happening here is starting to feel like a real-life David versus Goliath. Baldoni and Wayfarer Studios, a smaller, lower-budget production company, are going up against Hollywood power players, and many are saying Lively and her team have been bullying their way through this case to get what they want. Now let's get something straight. I normally support believing women, but in this case, there are women on the other side of this lawsuit that I believe even more. The reality is, not every woman tells the truth, and not every man is the villain. And Lively's trail of contradictions and inconsistencies, it's just too easy to track. And here's the biggest bombshell. There's actual footage of Lively admitting on a podcast that she took over this production. She was never hired as a writer, editor, producer, or director. She was strictly an actress with a Vanity executive producer credit. But that didn't stop her. According to Baldoni and Wayfarer Studios, she came in like a wrecking ball, took control, made changes without approval, and positioned herself as the one running the show. And now, there's video proof of her saying exactly that. This legal battle isn't just messy anymore, it's explosive. And if the evidence keeps rolling in like this, Lively might have a serious problem on her hands. Blake Lively flat out admitted to rewriting scenes, taking over wardrobe, and calling the shots like she owned the production. She described it as drinking from a fire hose. But in reality, she was drowning everyone else out. And let's talk about that wardrobe disaster. The studio had already purchased an entire wardrobe for the character Lily, but Lively scrapped it, brought in her own stylist, and ran the budget up by $500,000. That's $500,000 blown, all because she insisted on her own vision. And it didn't stop there. She handpicked her own composer. She brought in her own editors. And get this, the editor she hired had never worked on a film before. The biggest credit on his resume? A Taylor Swift music video. That's it? And yet, somehow, she put him in charge of editing a major Hollywood movie. But the biggest bombshell? She literally stole the movie. Lively took a rough cut of the film without permission and brought it to Colleen Hoover's Book Bonanza, a huge book event where fans could have easily leaked footage online. Studios have strict distribution agreements for a reason. Leaking early cuts can tank a movie before it's even released. It can destroy deals, lead to piracy, and completely derail box office success. But did Lively care? Nope. She snuck the footage onto a plane, ignored Sony and Wayfarer's warnings, and did it anyway. This wasn't an accident. This was a power move. And now, she wants the public to believe she's the victim, that she had no control, and that Justin Baldoni was the one pulling all the strings. But let's be real, how is she powerless when she literally had his name removed from promotional posters? The receipts are right there. At this point, the narrative she's spinning just isn't adding up. Instead of walking the red carpet like every other director, he was banished to the basement. Yes, you read that right. The basement. When it came to press for It Ends With Us, he was completely shut out. He wasn't allowed to do any major promotions, and he was even forced to leave the red carpet before Blake Lively arrived. But the most shocking piece of evidence? A forced apology that Lively allegedly tried to make Baldoni and Wayfarer Studios put out just to clean up her own PR mess. See, Lively was drowning in backlash, not because of some orchestrated smear campaign, but because she made one bad decision after another. She heavily promoted her alcohol brand, her hair care line, and her designer jeans, all while talking about a movie that revolves around domestic violence. People called her out for being tone deaf, and instead of owning it, she wanted Baldoni and his team to take the blame. And the receipts? They're in federal court, filed, documented. On August 12, 2024, Lively and Ryan Reynolds allegedly sent a prepared statement to Baldoni's team. Here's what it said. It Ends With Us was a troubled production, which we take full accountability for. We are very sorry to everyone we caused upset to, privately and publicly. Blake Lively, Colleen Hoover, and the entire cast and crew led with professionalism every step of the way, and any negativity aimed at them is ours to own. In other words, she wanted Baldoni and Wayfarer to take the fall. This isn't speculation, this was in court filings. Lively allegedly tried to manipulate the narrative so that her own marketing failures and the backlash that followed would look like someone else's fault. At this point, it's beyond clear. This isn't just a legal battle, it's Hollywood warfare. Blake Lively and her team wanted Wayfarer Studios and Justin Baldoni to take the fall, again. They allegedly tried to push a carefully worded statement, one that would absolve Lively of all the backlash she was getting from her own actions on Instagram, interviews, and public appearances. The statement was meant to make it look like Baldoni's team was owning up to mistakes, when, in reality, they weren't the ones making them. Here's the exact wording from the statement they wanted Baldoni and Wayfarer to put out. "We mutually agreed that the cast would be promoting the film separately and understood why. We have always said we were not perfect, and even if we unintentionally make mistakes, we will always own them. We hold ourselves accountable. It's not anyone's job but ours, and that's part of being man enough. We will practice what we preach. We are learning and growing from this experience, and we thank everyone for their patience as we find a better way to proceed. We are very proud of the film and the welcome arms that have received it. Part of our work is to have uncomfortable conversations for public growth. The film is doing that on screen, and we are doing that off screen. Thank you to the cast and crew and public for the opportunity to be imperfect and to be given space to learn and grow with humanity and dedication." Translation? Justin, Wayfarer, you better take the hit for this, or else. And why? Because Blake Lively was spiraling publicly. She was acting reckless on Instagram, giving tone-deaf interviews, and making a mess of the film's entire marketing campaign. She faced major backlash, and instead of taking accountability, she tried to shift the blame. But here's the twist. Wayfarer and Baldoni refused. They didn't cave to the pressure. They didn't release the statement. And guess what? Lively's backlash didn't stop. She couldn't recover. This is the epitome of narcissistic entitlement. Trying to bully others into taking the blame for your own PR disaster? Unbelievable. And here's where it all comes full circle. They allege that back in October, Blake Lively was already working with the New York Times to craft a smear campaign against Justin Baldoni. The metadata doesn't lie. The plan? Make sure he took the fall. And when that didn't work, when Baldoni and Wayfarer refused to sell the movie rights or caved to their demands, boom, Lively and Reynolds hit them with a lawsuit. But let's be real, this lawsuit looks like a calculated move to get ahead of the lawsuit Baldoni was preparing against them. Instead of defending, they went on the attack, trying to flip the script before the truth came out. But now, with all the evidence surfacing, her case is crumbling. So where does this leave Blake and Ryan? In serious trouble. Hollywood doesn't forget scandals like this. And for this level of manipulation, deception, and career sabotage, could this be the end for them? We'll have to wait and see. One thing's for sure, Justin Baldoni walked out of that courtroom with a win today. What do you think? Is this the final nail in Blake Lively's career?